Syria expresses astonishment that some UN Security Council members have thwarted the passing of a Russian draft resolution that condemns the terrorist explosions in Aleppo. Our armed forces continue to chase terrorist arms groups, kill some of them and confiscate their arms. Washington sends 2 war vessels to Libyan shores following the murdering of its ambassador in Benghazi. Good afternoon, this is Yelda with the news in English. The Foreign and Expatriates Ministry has been amazed that certain UN Security Council's members have thwarted the passing of a Russian draft statement that condemns the terrorist operations that took place in the city of Aleppo on the 9th of this month, which claimed the lives of 50 citizens and wounded more than 100 others and destroyed 3 hospitals and a number of innocent civilians' houses.
In a statement today, the Foreign and Expatriates Ministry said with such behavior, those members of the UN Security Council have consecrated the double-standard policy, completely alienating themselves from the clear principle of condemning terrorism in all its forms, wherever it is perpetrated and regardless of its source. The ministry expressed regret over this deplorable behavior at the Security Council, pointing out that it is not surprising for Western countries to obstruct open condemnation of terrorism in Syria because of the involvement of those states and their tools in directly supporting the terrorists in Syria. The ministry affirmed that the stance of those states reflected, beyond any shadow of doubt, their flagrant involvement in shedding Syrian blood. The ministry recalled that Syria had constantly denounced the terrorist operations that hit the capitals which are currently supporting terrorism in Syria, and that it will continue to denounce terrorism regardless of the hostile policies of those states against it, out of its commitment to combat and uproot terrorism. The ministry added that those Western states should know that terrorism does not differentiate between one state and another, and they will reap tomorrow what they plant today, as their support for terrorism in Syria and their insistence on avoiding condemning it represents a flagrant justification for terrorism and an open violation of those states' commitment to the UN Security Council's resolutions related to combating terrorism. The ministry voiced gratitude for federal Russia and the other countries which denounced this terrorist act, an attitude taken out of their respect for their international commitments and keenness on Syria's security and stability.
Commenting on the statement of the Human Rights Commissariat, the Foreign and Expatriates Ministry has addressed a message to the Commissariat, expressing Syria's astonishment at its insistence to portray the situation in Syria in a manner that contravenes reality and the contents of the Arab and international observers' reports, which indicate that the armed groups had taken advantage of highly populated areas and used them as a basis for their operations to spread panic among the inhabitants, commit massacres and then flee away. They have repeated such behavior, the message added, in order to spread violence from one district to another and give false impressions about facts on the ground with a view of misleading media and world public opinion. The ministry stressed that the Syrian government continues to shoulder its responsibility in protecting Syrian citizens from the armed terrorist groups' crimes that include killing, kidnapping and bodies mutilation based on extremist mentally oblique fatwas against all those who oppose their stance. Our armed forces have continued to chase fleeing terrorists to clear a number of Aleppo neighborhoods from the armed terrorist groups that have wreaked havoc in the city, inflicting upon them heavy losses. Our army units carried out a qualitative operation that targeted mercenary terrorist gatherings between Qadi Askar and Al-Hawuz squares, eliminating a large number of them along the line between the two squares near Sana Mhaidali Center and the Children, Eyes and Healthcare hospitals, destroying several vehicles equipped with machine guns. The army also targeted a terrorist warehouse used to store ammunition near the Children's Al-Takhassusi hospital. They also killed and wounded several terrorists in Bustan al-Qasr in Aleppo. An army unit has clashed with terrorists who were riding a car on Al-Raqqa Aleppo road, killing 2 of them and confiscating a Chevrolet car that contained several explosive devices and developed communication equipment, a pistol and computers, as well as documents that included information about the terrorist groups. In Damascus countryside, our army units continued to chase armed terrorists in Al-Hujayra town as citizens of Yelda area started to return back to their homes after the armed forces cleaned the area from terrorists. Meanwhile, authorities seized a factory for manufacturing explosive devices in Al-Shihab street. The authorities also confiscated 5 explosive devices ready to be detonated, 7 others under preparation and devices for remote detonation. In Homs, a unit of the armed forces repelled an armed terrorist group's attempt to attack law enforcement forces, checkpoints, and citizens in Talkalakh city in the countryside of the province. Sana reporter quoted a source in the province as saying that the army members inflicted direct losses upon the terrorist group, killing and injuring its members. The source added that another unit of the armed forces destroyed a car equipped with a DShK machine gun in Wadi Sayeh area in Homs. An army unit on Wednesday night clashed an armed terrorist group in Babhoud, destroying 4 cars equipped with DShK machine guns and killing all the terrorists inside. Army units were able to kill leaders of the group and destroy their hideout, which was used by the armed group as a warehouse for hiding weapons. Bolivia renewed today its rejection of any foreign intervention in Syria and its support for the principle of self-determination for all people. Bolivia's Vice President Alvaro Garcia said in a press statement that as far as the Syrian issue is concerned, we witnessed a new form of soft intervention in the Middle East and North Africa, expressing support of the Syrian government in confronting the armed terrorist groups. Garcia affirmed that it is up to the Syrian people to decide their own future away from any foreign interference. Garcia added that Bolivia supports peaceful coexistence among the countries of the world and the right for self-determination. The United States decided to evacuate its consulate staff members from the Libyan city of Benghazi after the attack, which killed 4 embassy members, including the ambassador. After the attack, an elite anti-terrorist unit of about 40 Marines was flown in to beef up security at the American embassy in the capital of Tripoli. Air Force transport planes flew the bodies of the dead Americans out, along with at least 3 who were injured and the rest of the approximately 25 diplomats assigned to the consulate.
The UN envoy to Syria, Al-Brahimi, said no one disagrees with the need to stop bloodshed and restore harmony among the people in Syria. In a statement upon arrival in Damascus International Airport, Al-Brahimi added that he came to Syria for consultation with Syrians, referring that there is a crisis and it is deteriorating. Prime Minister Al-Halqi hailed the armed forces' efforts to eliminate the armed terrorist groups throughout the Syrian provinces, adding that these terrorist groups targeted oil fields since the very beginning, set up barriers on roads and hindered the citizens' movement. In an exclusive interview with the Syrian TV, Al-Halqi said that the situation of the Syrian economy is balanced despite pressure and unfair economic sanctions imposed on it. He stressed the ability of the Syrian economy to comply with the crisis no matter of its duration, adding that all citizens' needs are secure, including currency reserve and main needs, especially fuel. Finally, Minister of Religious Endowments, Dr. Mohammad al-Sayed, stressed that the encroachment on the position of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, in the film Innocence of Muslims constitutes an offense against the values of humanity and a flagrant violation of the alleged democracy of the U.S. and its allies. Minister al-Sayed considered in a press statement that the film, produced by the U.S. Zionist malicious policies, offended more than 1,700,000,000 Muslims, and it contradicts the most important basis of democracy.
With this, we end our news bulletin for today. For more information about Syria and the region and to view the bulletin again, you can visit our website in English, syriaonline.sy. Up next, the latest business and market news with Khalid after a short break.